Bye.
It is showtime! It is showtime! I need a Let's fight mates. Together. Thank you. ठीक है.
जी मुझे आ रही है लाइव स्ट्रीम स्टार्ट की है जी आ रही है मुबशिर भाई
किसका कौन कलर हो गया किसका मेरा तो हो गया कौन कलर मैंने कल ही कर लिया कौन कलर आपका कौन सा रैंक है नंबर 2 मेरा तो फ्रेम 5 मैच खेलो फिर मिलेगा वही खेल रहा हूँ यही ही क्या लगा हाँ हो गया है तो
Excellent work. Excellent work.
फ्रेम मैं रश खेलता हूँ मुझे फ्रेम मिलने वाला
I need attachments. Excellent work.
उतर दे पूरे स्क्वाड को तबाह कर दूंगा
Excellent work. Watch out.
7 बंदे जा रहे हैं स्कूल में उन्हें गन मिल गई है
अच्छा करवाता हूँ
यार ये क्या शॉट गन क्या मुझे
Get in the car.
एक गेम से फिनिश कर दे मैं लॉबी जा रहा हूँ रैंक कुछ नहीं करना है किधर हो गया था मुझे फ्रेम नहीं मिला
Someone has been here. Attack the mark.
भाई कौन सा रैंक है आपका मेरा भाई 4 है ग्राउंड हाँ भाई, एक बंदा था मार के। नाम, चैनल का नाम तो होगा भाई। ओके। गुड। एक सेकंड भाई।
तरफ भी बारिश है, हमारी तरफ भी बारिश है फुल तेज।
ओके ब्रो, ओके। ओके ओके ओके।
जा रहा है।
ठीक भाई, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
डन।
अब अब सुनाओ भाई।
देख लूं, बारिश देख लूं।
ब्रो, ब्रो मैं बिल्कुल ओपन में हूँ।
बशीर भाई बारिश तो बड़ी तेज हो रही है
भाई टेंशन नहीं लो, कर दो बना, नो टेंशन भाई।
भाई। ओ फुल। पंखे की आवाज ठंडी लग। मैं गाड़ी में फुल भर रहा हूँ, कोप मिले तो देना।
भाई कहाँ से हो आप? नंबर सही भाई। मैं मुजफ्फरगढ़ से। जी जी। पढ़ता पढ़ता मुल्तान में हूँ भाई। जी 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 जी। जी जी जी, बहुत। जी जी। अलीपुर के भी बहुत लोग आते हैं इधर पे। जी 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 बिल्कुल।
गाड़ी गाड़ी में कोई समस्या है?
हॉस्टलों में रहते हैं हम।
यूज नहीं करता। मैंने कहा गाड़ी में फ्यूल भर दी है। एटेक्स हो तो 4x
भाई टेंशन ना लो, हो जाएगा। मैं मतलब कि गेम खेल लूँ, मैं कर दूँ। जी भाई, नो टेंशन। भाई मौसम हमारे यहाँ, हाँ बहुत गर्म है। बारिश तो गेम में सही है। भाई आपको आप में से किसी को 3x चाहिए?
मेरे को चाहिए, मेरे को
जी।
3x से पहले मैं ले लेता हूँ। अब आप प्लेयर। हाँ हाँ।
जी जी भाई, हैंड फ्री के बगैर मजा नहीं आता गेम खेलने में, पता ही नहीं चलता। ओके भाई। नहीं भाई, मैं गाड़ी ढूंढ ढूंढ रहा हूँ, गाड़ी मेरे लिए तो आ रही है। भाई कितना अच्छा हो गया आपके चैनल को? मैंने कहा आपके चैनल को कितना टाइम हो गया, मतलब कि कब से स्टार्ट किया हुआ? सही सही। जी जी जी। हाँ ये जी जी। हाँ तो फिर आप वो नहीं नहीं, आप ना फिर कंटिन्यूअसली स्ट्रीम किया करो ना। हाँ ऐसे ही है। हाँ, मतलब इस तरह नहीं, फिर डेली बेसिस पे, मतलब मेरे कहने का मतलब ये है कि डेली इस तरह फिर पता होता ना बंदा को कि भाई ये बंदा इस टाइम ऑनलाइन होता है। आ जाएंगे भाई, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आ जाएंगे, एकदम से सोच रहे हैं। जी 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 भाई। मैं फिर बंदे का ज्यादा दिल करता है ना करने का, मतलब स्ट्रीम वगैरह। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल भाई, यही तो बात है। नहीं भाई, फिलहाल तो नहीं मिली, देखो ये सुनाया पहुंच गए।
Get in the car. Get in the car. Marked a location. Marked a location.
मिल गई भाई, गाड़ी मिल गई मुझे। गाड़ी मिल गई भाई मुझे, ये नहीं होगा। आ जा, आ रहा हूँ मैं।
Marked a
प्लेयर नहीं,
location. Location.
प्लेयर। नहीं नहीं भाई, मैं नहीं। आप, मैं उसे कह रहा एनिमी है मेरे पास, बंदा था मेरे पास, मैंने उसे मार दिया। प्लेयर नहीं। यार मैंने, मैंने यार वो करना है अपना आज, राउंड 4 क्रॉस करना है, इसलिए देर में काफी देर हो गई। नहीं नहीं भाई, कोई नहीं। भाई जैसे दिल करे। बस इधर में जाके किसी जगह बस टेक कर लें। आ गई गाड़ी यार। कहाँ इसी के अंदर है?
Watch out!
दो थे भाई, एक नहीं था। पीछे वाले ने मार। भाई रैंक कनाडा इसीलिए। भाई प्रोफाइल कौन सी लगी हुई है आपने? आपकी प्रोफाइल बता दो।
जी।
जी।
क्या कह रहे हो?
मैंने कहा आपकी वो यूट्यूब की प्रोफाइल कौन सी लगी है, प्रोफाइल बता दो। उस-
नेक्स्ट ट्वेल्व पास कैसे आ रहा है? M4 की स्किन आ रही है कोई? मैं देखता हूँ अपना लून शायद शेयर के साथ आएगा तो देख लेंगे। तो मैं ले लूंगा आपके लिए देखते हैं फिर। मैंने कहा चलो देखता हूँ, गिफ्ट करता हूँ। हाँ नूब थे नूब। हाँ। स्टार्ट करो चलो।
भाई हो गया हो गया। जी जी भाई, नहीं आया मैसेज? का मैसेज भी किया मैंने। भाई सब्सक्राइब किया मैंने। कहते तो फिर कर देता तो।
हाँ डर के नहीं खेलना चाहिए। एक ना।
जी खेल रहा हूँ, चौधरी खेल रहा हूँ।
मेरा चैनल
जी जी बोलो। नहीं
चौधरी भाई मैंने आपको रिक्वेस्ट भेजी है। चौधरी साहब भाई ये वुल्फ वाला आप अपना क्लान है भाई?
तो फील डाउन टू
जी भाई यार असल में यार मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि नहीं वो आपकी बात ठीक है भाई। असल में यार माइनस जब पड़ जाता है ना बस ना पूछ।
हुए चक्कर में
भाई आपको 9 प्लस मिला मुझे 8। मुझे भी ऐसे ही मिला 7 8। जी जी यार वो नहीं नहीं अगर मतलब कि शुरू में मर जाओ ना फिर पड़ता है। जी जी भाई
time, you have to have at least one hero on the map making space. So I think that's going to have to ride on Mizu. He has to take that forward position, create space for the team, and be a nuisance. This is a really good lane to play into against this Sven. He's a melee hero. It's not fun to lane against a Batrider for him. But I think as the game scales on, this Sven is a good answer to the Spectre. Like, you can naturally build a Silver Edge if you feel the need for a break. You've got great damage output. You're super tanky as well. It's a hard hero to really hold back here from GXR, aside from really just getting that lasso off. Like, once the BKB second through, it's all about also landing a good lasso here.
Fair enough. Gonna ask you the hard question. A lot lining
जाने दो
in
बेशर
this
भाई
game. Two
इधर
for either of these two
जो है
teams.
पूल
Who came out with the better draft?
जर की निकलता है
I'm gonna
जर
have to go with Team D. I like the closer with that. Sven, I like the
Okay,
synergy
bro.
they have with the Underlord. The chain stunts they can get from
Okay,
there.
bhai, okay,
You've
okay.
got Chris on this. Templar Assassin as well that can just
मेरे भाई
flash farm
3 पॉइंट
fast.
है
There is an
मतलब कि
issue of
उसमें
farm
से
sharing in the
राउंड
jungle
3
early
में
on,
से
but I think we've seen TAs after they get the Dragonlance plus the Desolator or the Blink, they're happy enough to leave. Right, so that should still give space for Sven. Underlord's not going to need too much farm.
भाई मतलब
And
इस
even if he
YouTube
does,
के
he's
अलावा
very
क्या करते
comfortable
हो?
just staying in lane where he can attract attention to himself. I think KYXY understands that role on the offlane where if you attract attention to a hero like this, you don't mind too much. As long as your bigger cores are farming. For GXR, it's just much harder. Like you need to juggle your
कहाँ
farm a
तक
lot
मतलब
tighter
स्टडी
here. Your
क्या किया
top
भाई
wants
आपने
a
स्टडी
fast Witchblade Blink. Your Bat Rider is going to need either the Yule's Force Staff or Blink Dagger first, or Travels from the off lane, but that tends to be less common as a first item rush on off. So you need one of those up on the Bat, and then the Bat Rider might actually take some of that jungle space away from the Spectre. The pressure is going to be there on Alacrity's Puck to actually get that initial space with his toolkit
Watch out!
instead.
Watch out! Watch
Whereas
out!
the Bat Rider is going to share space with the Spec, and
Mark the location.
it just boils down to how fast you can clear that jungle. I don't think the Spectre is just in a good spot to keep up against Sven. The Sven is just so quick. Once you've got the cleave up, it just
मतलब फिर तो आपने अभी इसी ईयर कंप्लीट किया अपने सेकंड ईयर क्या?
That GXR will have to pay attention to. They need to ward up the jungle, invade the jungle much more than we saw last time, and prevent that from coming out for Drew.
Line's being drawn out already. Lupet odds were up, by the way, John. GXR still the favourite. It's just roughly the same odds as last time. So interesting odds to look at as they are potentially going to run right into Mizu. He's got the sticky napalm up. He might just break the smoke in time. It does, but he doesn't see them. He doesn't see them in time. They were within the fog. That darn tree there blocked all the vision, and it looks like they should be able to get the first blood. Very nice there from the side of TD. Destrus will be the one to take the first blood on the pos for Rubik. At least Drew didn't get it, right? Like, if you're GXR, at least Drew didn't get the first one.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a silver lining. I think Rubik getting that is still pretty darn good, though. Like, Destrus started out with 3 sentries anyway. So, you know, he wants some gold to rush into the boots to have that presence in lane. And this just means fairly fast boots anyway, with an even boundary to start. KYXY is contesting top to it. He's going to be shoved out. It should end up even overall, but you're off to a good footing here on Team B side. And killing off the Bat Rider creates Mizu. He gets a free TP. It's early on when he doesn't need to expend it, so, you know, in a way, it's not all bad news, I guess. Stay positive.
He gets a free TP on cooldown. Very nice. He'll be happy with that. They also got the that sentry on the Ancients, right? So like against the Bat Rider, you never really want to allow him to farm those Ancient stacks. So a quick sentry ward to make sure they slow those down. We'll see if they actually keep an eye on that triangle. Whether Ponlo can reinvade that triangle later on, just keep the vision up. And even that Observer ward is very intriguing. Between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 towers, they're going to go on to Mizu again. They want to make sure they harass him out very early on while they still can, before he does have that Firefly up. But I am very curious about that Observer ward behind the Tier 1 and Tier 2. I imagine it's to spot out if they are going for those stacks. But it could be for a multitude of reasons. It's very hard to tell exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty darn good ward spot. You don't need too much ward vision. You know where the Bat Rider is going to play. You know where the Lion's going to be walking around anyway. So you don't need that ward in this jungle area. You definitely want to keep track of those stacks instead. You can punish the Bat Rider when he's going for the stacks as well. He's not going to be healthy and clearing out. We've seen Bat Riders do that. A really good courier snipe from Jokam. It does give him a little bit of gold. But so far this lane is okay for both sides. Drew, and he's still getting some decent farm, but so is Mizu. And as the levels go up, it should be more manageable. They've got good spike combinations to run down. So you will have to be cautious as the levels build up here on Team D's end.
Fair enough. We should have a look at the other lanes as well, of course. Mid lane, you've got Alacrity there against Chris. You know, I ask you this question all the time, but I know TA doesn't lose the mid lane. It's very hard for this hero to lose. Look at those side lanes just bouncing away of Alacrity. Even on the puck, it's just a very annoying matchup.
Yeah, it's not fun. And I was having a bit of a chat with our friend Crest Dota, right? Crest Dota, Jong. We were talking about the TA matchups and TA mid versus ranged and
सही
melee,
है
and he actually thinks that
भाई
ranged
यार
heroes are a lot
कंकर का
easier
है
to land
इरादा
sideways
देख
on, and I think
हमसे
I
तो
agree with
वैसे
him. You
भाई
notice
नहीं
how
होना
often
कंकर कभी
Chris can actually just get the hits off, because melee heroes can juke from a closer radius, whereas on the wide radius from range, you can just keep twacking away while still hitting the creeps safely, and the TA just wins out. Again, you look at the puck, there's no easy way to clear
क्या
refraction
में
at
पुश किया था
level 2,
आपने कंकर
and that's just going to keep piling on for Krish. The only thing you have going for the puck is higher mobility for the runes. So that's where Alacrity has to
मैंने कहा
leverage
स्कैड में
himself.
पुश किया था
Make sure he
कंकर
secures
आप
power runes, water runes, and bounty runes, and get himself that regen game going.
Fair enough. Bot lane as well. In your dream, Polison going to be there. KYXY and Destrus going to be against them.
अक्सर वो
Underlord's one
कर
of those
लेती है
weird
ना
heroes
पेड़
right
कंकर
now. Like,
करवा
it's still
लेती है
very annoying with the atrophy aura. So it may be kind of a nuisance for In Your Dream to be able to CS safely. But he is going to have the help of Polison there on that Enchantress. Not that KYXY is going to care too much. But it is going to mean that In Your Dream should remain safe. We'll just see how well he can CS against the Underlord, though, because that atrophy aura is really annoying.
Yeah, it definitely is. For now, you're still getting something in the lane for IYD, right?
Top lane, Firefly's there. Mizu, he doesn't want to dive the tier 1 tower. It's one of the things when you're playing Batrider. You're always going to be aware that the stick charges are going to be there, pretty much maxed out for the enemy team. So Ponlo, he can just rely on those to be able to survive.
Yeah, and it's a bit awkward right now. And they have built up some large camp stacks as well. Jokam should notice that the Ancients aren't piling up. So, you know, they are aware that stacks are being built up because of Ponlo's ward.
ये जोकर भाई और ये नुमान भाई है आपके मतलब फ्रेंड्स वगैरह हैं
but they can't really dive in deep. The Batrider is not tanky enough to take all the tower hits. And you have Sven. You have the chain stun combination if you dive too far in with cold feet and Stormhammer. So this is not an easy set of targets to commit onto unless Jokam does land a combination. Still, this is timely for Mizu to just go in, clear up a large camp, get some farm going. And because they haven't really seen those stacks, because of the direction Jokam walked, they can't quite
Marked a location.
Still a good gold injection for Mizu, and still going to be able to get some catch.
I still think you're very happy, though. Like, if you're Team D, you've only forced the large camp, and I think it was only 3 stacks. Not really too big of a deal. Obviously, Mizu kind of needs it right now on the Batrider. Is still going to realize there's a sentry ward there. No D ward out yet, but Jokam does have a sentry now, though it is going to be fairly late. That sentry just about 2.5 minutes away from expiring now, and actually Polo's on the check. Jokam might die here if he's not too careful. Drew just needs to land that Stormhammer with a cold feet, and he's guaranteed to die, but does loop around the tree line. He's going to be okay. This is going to allow Drew the safety of free farm on that safe lane, at least for now. They are going to try and chase down Ponlo, it seems. Right in that tree, Courier. Oh, they do find him. A nice hex out, and with the Firefly, it should be enough, but no, they can't dive the tier 1. In fact, Jokam now is going to be chased down. Stormhammer was already committed, but Drew is a man that really wants that kill, but he will not be able to get it. He will be forced to back, but again, he saves the life of Ponlo.
I think you're fine with that. Like, you commit Firefly, you commit a fair bit of mana, so Mizu's gonna have to wait a little bit longer before doing anything. He's not gonna
Madad karo! Madad karo! I need ammo! Need ammo!
Oh, that they can. Mizu. He's gonna be alright. He does walk away. His mid
कौन से ammo चाहिए भाई?
Krish, let's protect his own Invis power rune there. See the trap for a second, but be able to get it in
भाई
time.
150 हैं आ जाओ आधी कर लेते
Back at this mid lane, Alacrity, he's done a great job in catching up, because the last time we looked at this mid lane, it was quite a rough time for the puck, but he's just behind the TA, which is rather impressive here.
Yep, it's pretty good.
No,
Alacrity, like initially it looked a bit rough, but the fact that you're holding on, you're keeping up in farm while using some access to your jungle because of the Batrider taking it is pretty good. TP out early though.
KYXY. He chased down. Looks like he's going to get coiled up as well. They really want the kill. They will get him. Meanwhile, top lane, Ponlo, he's going to drop. But Drew, he's going to try after Jokam. He's not going to be able to get Jokam, but rather chase after Mizu. But Mizu has the Firefly, and Drew does not have the Stormhammer. So 2 kills across the map now for GXR.
TK.
Very nice kills for that. I mean, the Pulse 300 Lord always going to be nice to be taken out.
इधर देख लो भाई शायद
Good
पड़ी
wins for GXR across the map. This is what we need to see. Aggression coming out, Get some space out for your Spectre to leave that pressure on in your Dream. IYD still lagging behind in farm, but in all seriousness, he's keeping up with the Underlord in his lane matchup, so it's not actually that bad. Like, it is slower for him to flash farm in the jungle. He doesn't have access to the camps as well. And so in this sense, you are pretty all right here in your Dream, and it doesn't feel like PubG's done enough just yet. This is a point where PubG's lineup takes it a bit slower.
I got supplies. I got supplies.
You need to keep buying space out for your Sven, and your Underlord isn't really that tanky until a couple of items come through.
KYXY again being chased down here. They've got 3 heroes up as Mizu is going to try and come in with the lasso, but they got the Dark Rift. But the Dark Rift, it takes way too long at level 1. That's going to be a secondary death on KYXY. As an Underlord, you don't feel good dying like that over and over again. It's going to fall behind in your Dream on the Spectre in terms of farm now.
Yeah, and that does set up nicely for GXR. They're just keeping the Spectre very well protected. They're hammering in their supports. They're at the point where they can't afford to do so though. Like, they don't need to keep watching the Sven. They know that Drew's just gonna try to farm up like this. He's pretty darn strong. The Echo Saber's almost up for his Sven, so the flash farm's gonna kick in. But they're keeping track of where Krish is farming, so Destrus might punish.
Awesome. Chase down Destrus. He's not gonna bother with the lift and fade bolt. Just let him walk out. He wasn't confident he would have enough damage. I don't think he would have. A little bit. Same thing's happening at the opposite end where Krish, he's going to come back to the lane for a second, but you know, he just wants to go right back to that jungle. Currently, Krish is top net worth as well. 4.5k net worth, but it's a TA. I mean, you can't, I'm not going to give him props for that, John. It's a TA. He should be the top of the net worth.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to see. The farm distribution for Team D is very even right now. You are getting good net worth on Krish and Drew. And Drew's very fortunate. Finds the possessed mask.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Stacks, though.
Yeah. Krish, he didn't have time to take those. A nice scan out is going to reveal this is happening, but can they punish them? It doesn't seem like it. That was maybe a small error there from Krish. He didn't leave a trap behind to actually scout out the vision of that happening. So he found that a little bit too late. GXR, they take a lot of gold away from the team. Very nice.
It's a nice gold injection for Alacrity. That is the Witchblade. Just
top lane.
Accelerated in thermal though.
Oh, this is a big pick off Drew. On the Sven, has been caught. He'll go for the stun, but there's no way out of this. They even coiled just in case there was any kind of funny business about to happen. But nobody from Team D TP's up. They'll let Drew die by himself.
Yeah, it's an awkward situation for Team D. I mean, leaving Drew alone up top at this point is fairly late. I think it's at this point you expect that lane swap to come out on bot, go for the tower trade. They don't really get that. The greed is punished. Krish is getting some damage on the mid tier 1 though. He's got double damage running. He should be able to get some good work down.
Cam. Even found Ponlo at the top lane. That'd be a 5-1 now the side of GXR. That'll be the first finger kill for Jocam to boost to stacking up that damage. But while that was happening, they let the mid tier 1 tower drop. I don't know if that's worth it for GXR. That's a very valuable tower.
No, it's not worthwhile. They haven't even cleared out the top tier 1 yet, which is surprising. They're just cutting the creep wave. They don't have the best shove. And I think Team D will take that. Make sure you drop a bunch of kills. You lost your Sven, but you still have time for the defense here.
Lift up. Destrus going to try and set up onto Jocam. Krish going to move in. The Earth Spike is there, and that should buy enough time for Jocam. Get the TP out. They do finally get that top tier 1. Looks like Team D, they'll start trying to get to work on that bottom tier 1 tower. Still, they do have the kill lead, 5-1, slight net worth lead as well, just under 1K. But it does seem like GXR, they've definitely kind of refreshed themselves in this game number 2 as they do get another nice coil off with KYXY. He started the car up, he wants to send him home, and they will be able to do so. Very nice there, ensuring that Drew does not die another time on that Sven. But while he's being TP'd home, In Your Dreams freely farming the top lane. He's got the Echo Saber up now, and that's going to allow this Spectre to farm even faster.
Yeah, I like this coming out from In Your Dream. The Echo Saber just feels like he can contribute more when he haunts. The stats are good, and you still clear out the jungle fairly well. as long as you play with your dagger and just get the dispersion off, so it doesn't really slow you down as much, and it just gives you more activity. He is going for the Manta into Ags to keep that activity up. He understands that he shouldn't be playing the farm order. He's still keeping up in farm, but the Sven just easily overtakes once he gets a couple of camps to go into. And you're always going to be at a slight network disadvantage against this lineup.
I got supplies. I got supplies.
More activity is good for GXR.
Watch out. Watch out.
Because while they pressure Drew, Krish is pressure Krish.
I got supplies. I got supplies.
Pressure both, they haven't been clumped up together to beat.
भाई डाल दिया मैंने डाल दिया एक कैन डाल दिया
Watch out. Watch out.
I don't think they can kill him. I mean, you can lock him down like that. Maybe a storm hammer, but no, they won't even bother trying. He will be just fine. Krish, he's still just farming up himself. He's very, very close to that Desolator now. He's going to make his way down to the bot tier 1 to try and open up that lane. Of course, GXR, they won't really be able to trade the mid tier 1 towers right now with their own draft. They'll have to leave that be. Krish, he's noticed a little bit of a stack. Dream Coil's there though. He may get punished for this. The Horn is in from In Your Dream as well. He'll break the coil, but he has no help around him, and he is going to end up going down to the Spectre. Krish, you never want to die like that as a TA. Just gets a little bit greedy, and that'll be his first death of the game.
Yeah, it's just a bit curious from Krish. He walked in.
Supplies.
He didn't know about the ward that was up there earlier on, but he still walked into the outpost vision range. So he's just playing massively risky and trying to go for that farm, trying to go for those spots. He was like kind of close to his Desolator as well. Now it's just kind of stalled out. And they really need that Deso to be up with the Dragon Lance and the TA to have some activity go on. Because for D&D right now, it's all about farm. And GXR, they are keeping up with that farm pace. Their aggression's paying off big. Their farming pace is still really nice. They're going to have the blink up on Lagarty in a couple of minutes. Travels for Mizu's already done.
I'll take it.
So he's very speedy and he can show up all across the map, clear out the waves himself. You don't have anything like that from Team Dia. You are just farming on your 2 cores right now. KYXY is the one to try to protect them, taxi them back home. Isn't quite durable yet.
I'll take
on this Underlord as well. And
I'm really sorry.
GXR, they're feeling great. They're feeling so good that even Paulson, he got the Vanguard. He's the one going Crimson Guard on the Enchantress. So they're going to have aura items coming up soon as well to block off some of that physical damage.
Jocam. Estros, he's kind of got a bit of a hint that someone's around here. He's having a look through the tree line. Jocam, he's going to escape, but the range creep is going to start attacking. Jocam, he should be alright. It's going to be an Ice Blast and a Fade Bolt into In Your Dream, but there's going to be no follow-up damage. In Your Dream, he can just get right back to farming.
गाड़ी आई
Farm from In Your Dream, considering it is a spec. Keep on like this, but he's second in net worth. He's only 600 gold behind.
Get in the car. Get in the
But that's
car.
a real concerning sign for Team D in this game too.
Chalo.
They need to play to a pace now. They've got the Desolator
Watch
up
out.
for Krish.
Watch out.
Does he pick down these fights, and he is rushing the BKB. He understands that with a line around, with a silence and a puck, there's too much control from GXR for him to just rush the blink here. So he's going to have to save up a little bit longer.
Get in the car. Get in the car. I need consumables.
The line's playing really safe. It's just distracting the opposite side of GXR, so it worked
I need
quite
consumables.
well.
I need consumables.
No one to hunt down In Your Dream. No triangle wards here from Team D to watch those camps.
I need consumables.
And GXR are fine with a slower pace. Like, Team D might not be hurting too much, as, again, they also want to farm, but you really don't want to risk it against a Spectre, against a Bat Rider, who have been allowed to reach these item spikes. Blink up on Mizu. He can just go for the Blink Blaster, and you don't have to save him yet on Team D's end.
Very well so far for GXR.
इधर से आया ब्रैक के साथ
6-1 at 16.5 minutes. Top lane, they have found a target and it's going to be desperate. GXR, they really haven't left that top lane, at least within Your Dream and Jocam for quite a while. And eventually it does pay off. And I can understand Jocam. He just wants to sit here and make sure that the Spectre is able to farm without risking her life. And so it does in the end. They get a Rubik kill. And it seems like this part of the map is just kind of off limits here for Team D.
It really is, and they haven't been able to play too much on jungle. despite having the mid tier 1 and the bot tier 1. They've farmed the
नीचे
further
पीछे
part
बंदा
of the
है
jungle, but not the deeper one. This shows you how much they respect the
यही
power
तो बात
output
है
of GXR right now. They do smoke up. Again, this should be the Desolator reveal.
नीचे बंदा है
नंबर
यार
1
Issues
भाई
again, they need to find a way to initiate. Their hold with
नीचे
AA
बंदा है
Rubik, it's not the best. They need to be
रिवाइव
fast
तो
in
ले लो,
finding
कोई
the
बात नहीं
skills
है.
here.
Go into that diet.
तुम और इसको
Finish,
मारो
finish.
इसको मारो
It's in
तुम
the
मारो इसने
ancients.
फिनिश करो, फिनिश करो.
Watch out!
Vision
Watch
over the
out!
Spectre though. Just out of vision, in fact. They might still have an idea of this, but they're not going to make their way over. It's a bit
Good,
too
good.
deep. If you're Team D right now, you're probably thinking about that road. With that
ये
Desol
दो
one,
थे
you
मेरे.
can certainly start going after it.
और भी है सर.
It isn't going to be the easiest road. Into a Bat Rider, into a Spectre.
Get in the
भाई
car.
सामने दरख्त के साथ, सामने वाले दरख्त के साथ देखना भाई लेट के.
Easy Roshan.
मतलब पिछले
भाई
मैच
सामने
में
वाले
भी
दरख्त के
But they may have to go
तो
for
भाई
it
ये
sooner
पिछले
rather
मैच में
than
भी आता
later.
ये बंदा फिर
Get
क्या
in the
हुआ ये
car.
बंदा
Time goes on,
That's
Spectre
Get in the
becomes a
car.
real
Get in the
problem.
car.
Yeah. It's just getting bigger and bigger. And in your dreams, still keeping up. Again, you expect
Get
to
in the
spend
car.
नुमान भाई
PH
सामने
to
वाले
just be
दरख्त के
more
साथ
efficient, but
लेट के देखना
doesn't
जरा
feel
यार
like
सामने
they're
वाले
using their
दरख्त.
jungle space all too
नहीं इधर
well
नहीं, इधर नहीं,
because
इधर
of
नहीं
how
भाई, इधर नहीं.
aggressive GXR
थोड़ा
was from
लेफ्ट
the run.
थोड़ा लेफ्ट.
And now you have the Manta up in your dream, so he's got a really good spike if they do commit the hunt.
Olsen, he should die to the Ice Blast. Meanwhile, though, Destrus does go to Alacrity. So they're going to trade supports, but it was a pos 4 for a pos 5. It's favored GXR. For the first time, it feels like this game has got a 2k net worth lead now. So a bit higher than 1k. That being said, however, Team D, they are going to force out this Roshan. GXR, it seems that they are not aware of this. They have no vision. So Team D just kind of freely walked into the Roshan pit. No scans out either. And they're going to get it completely free. Scans there now, but it's just too late.
उसी की गाड़ी घर में. अरे नहीं भाई कैसा करते हैं.
Go back, farm, wait, come back, out. And that could also give enough time for
Watch
the
out.
BKB of Drew to be done. It's not too far off now. Just lacking the hammer and the recipe. So you're going to hit big spikes once those BKBs are up, and you only
Marked a location.
be on point with your lasso target here. Once he's engaged in
down है चौधरी, तो down है इनके.
I don't think they're too
चौधरी
worried.
लाल बंदा revive
They
करेगा.
understand that they've still got good farm going. They've got these big spikes
नहीं यार उसके
on
अपने
the
यार.
Spectre. They're really geared up on Mizu.
उनको पता नहीं भाई एक ले लो, एक ले लो.
I need to line up.
Good. एक इधर से.
Get ready to jump in. Blinks up in Alacrity. He's rushing a Scotty.
अरे
Does have enough to buy
well
one
done.
orb out, so he's going to be statted up as
Well done,
well
bhai, well done.
on the puck. And his farm distribution is really smooth.
Well done भाई, well
TD,
done.
They still need more time. Like, that mid-game spike still has to come out here.
It's still very calm here in this game. Only 10 kills. We only have one kill every 2 minutes, it seems, right now, as Mizu. We're gonna avoid Krish. BKB about to be up over TA, and that might be about the time where you start to group up as Team D. Same happening for Drew. He's just about to get the BKB up. Does have the blink queued up as well. He might wait that item out, but while you're doing that, in your dream, he's working towards the Aghanim Scepter now. Mid lane, no, Alacrity, he's not gonna commit. He's just playing games. Top lane, however, looks like they have found Destrus again, and Destrus is gonna die in the Rubik. Around that same area. It's not the biggest kill, but it is certainly a kill for GXR.
Yeah, I think just having a kill over Team D is already good enough. Team D is just not able to really run and gun at anyone. They don't really have the best run and gun outside of having your TA join in, and Krish, at this point, I think is going to have to look to. Like, he's got the BKB up. He wants the Ag Shard next to the Silence, which could be really helpful against the puck. And then they can go from there. Mizu, he's still playing top. He still has a lasso. Drew has to be a bit cautious. He does have his BKB, but that BKB is not going to mean much to the lasso. You will have to watch that piece of control.
Mizu gonna back off. Blink is there, and Drew, he wanted to try and catch him out, but without his own blink, he can't really initiate for the team. So we're back at this stage, 9-2, 2k net worth lead. To the side of GXR, you've got the BKBs up, but I don't see them smoking quite yet. It still feels like they're lacking the initiation. Maybe they do though, and they will. Destrus is gonna pop it. Into the triangle they go, and this might be the first actual team fight we've seen this game too. But Jocam, he's ready to block off this smoke and does. It's gonna cost him his life, but it's a good smoke block. He just tanks the gank. And while that was happening, Alacrity and Mizu, they'll just take the bottom tier 1 towers. So they still get a decent enough trade. However,
and they have to watch themselves though. Like the mid tier 2 in exchange for that isn't amazing. And they can melt these towers fast with the Deso up on Krish. Creep waves coming back in. They do have the haunt, they do have the lasso. This could be a prime opportunity to get those spells up.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it though. This tier 2 mid tower, it's kind of important. You don't want to just let it go down for free, but it seems as though GXR, they may not feel confident, but they're going to go in with their own smoke. It is broken on Krish, and he is going to back off at that right timing. As Drew thinking about going in, Ice Blast is there. They found Mizu, but in the mid, they got a nice dream call off to lock them down, and now in your dream, he's there with the haunt. He's got Polo on the AA, and he will haunt back the other way. Now back on a Krish. They found the TA, but that is going to be the Aegis, as now the Dark Rift is there from KOXY. Everybody get in, but Destrus and Krish. God. Oh, they left Krish. Oh, the Aegis respawned. They didn't time it well, but he will TP out.
Good luck, mates.
Oh, a bit of a messy escape as now the smoke is there. This is what GXR's been waiting for. They are going to rush into Team D's triangle. And they may just find themselves Drew. Drew, he's not read the movement here. Mizu, he's got the lasso, and they are going to get him. GXR, they were very, very patient. But it will pay off.
And that's massive. Taking the Aegis, killing off the Sven. Team D, they kind of broke their position there. I think what they were doing earlier on was the right move. Just
get in the car.
Get in the car. Front of the TA to prevent the blink lasso and just melt the tower. Instead, they broke their position, tried to run across the lane, get the jump forward, and they were punished. So the impatience from Team D does constitute good punishment out from GXR. Team D should understand that this time with no haunt, they're just being chased.
यार हम तुम्हारे घर पे आएंगे अपनी गाड़ी से
हाँ भाई ले आना हम रिश्ता ले लेंगे हम रिश्ता ले लेंगे
चलो हम रिश्ता भेज रहे हैं अपने बाइक के उसके बाद बहुत बड़ा
मतलब तुम्हारी अम्मी फोत हो गई है लेके फोत हुई है लाल लेके फोत
ओए तेरी इतनी हिम्मत है ना तेरी इतनी हिम्मत है तो आजा जिधर आना है आजा जिधर आना है आजा
Really feel like they're lacking a lot of initiation here for Team D.
Okay.
They've just got nobody to start the fight. They are going to find Jocam. So at least you get yourself a Lion Kill, maybe even Polison. He'll try for the TP, the lift. Oh, it's barely there. They'll be able to get him. So a double kill out for Krish. But back to my point, until this blinks up on Drew, the initiation just doesn't feel online for Team D. Even with the blink up on the Rubik, it's just not enough.
Yeah, they're going to see Drew's blink. It's very close, so is Krish's. Krish is about 300 gold away. Mid tier 2 will fall now as well.
Get in the car.
They managed to find the objective trade in the end. And in that sense, if you look at the state of the map, Team D does have better control right now. The vision game coming out from both is rather even. Good triangle wards coming out from GXR, but same thing goes for Team D, and they've got that Roche ward as well to watch moving in there. So I think right now, despite that network going GXR is way at 3k, it's almost the same situation as game 1 where GXR had the slight lead with the Luna Doom. This time they have a slight lead with the Puck and Spectre, which is better, to be fair. Team D is still expected to have more, but I don't think it's completely out of the books yet for Team D. They smoke up, they want to play around.
Be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to find Jocam. So it will be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to find Jocam. So it will be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to find Jocam. So it will be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to find Jocam. So it will be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to find Jocam. So it will be able to break the smoke. That's a nice smoke break from Policy. If he loses his life, he's more than happy. But Team D, they are going to fi Haunted though in your dream, he might want to force a fight, and they do. The coil's there. They've locked down two with that. Drew's got Paulson down, but Krish, he's going on to in your dream. This is not a great fight at all for GXR as they've got the Spectre now with the lasso. Mizu's going to save the day. He'll drag Drew over, and now the Shadow step out. Drew, where you going? KYXY, he's down already. This now Sven has just been kited around and does go down. Mizu's been targeted, but they got the Hex off. They do kill Mizu, but Krish, he's been left alone. I don't think he can survive this. A nice thirst spike from Destrus, but it is not going to matter. They'll get the TA back into the Rubik. He'll be able to TP out. That lasso from Mizu, though, it does end up saving the day here, as in your dream, he may have died had they not gotten the Sven.
Yeah, that was just great calls coming out from GXR to find the right targets to isolate. They use your spells really well, and they find a big kills. They widen that lead to 6k. Team D, I don't know about this item build-up coming out from KY.
Get in the car.
To rush a Hex. I don't think they need a Hex. I think they need a Lotus. They need some way to purge off the control that will fly out on the Sven to stop that lasso, to keep their big core hitting.
I got supplies.
If the Sven doesn't hit, there's a bit of a damage issue coming through here from Krish. I saw him just twack away in Spectre, and it was just tickling in your dream, and not enough to really kill him off. The Ice Blast is nice here, but it's also not enough to threaten him.
Get in the
He's just gonna have
car.
to stay in that fountain area a bit longer to regen back up. Still, Team D, they need more. They need more time, they need more farm, and that just gives GXR much more to play with it, because as you stall towards late, this is still a Spectre. This is a Spectre who's going to have Butterfly very soon. A very tanky frontliner, a very big core. You don't have the break. You can play around with your Firestorm, but that's it. Like that's your scaling right now until damage starts to fly in from your Sven and TA, and it just doesn't feel like they're able to really flash farm as fast as they want to in either hero.
What strength? They found Joe Cam. Mizu, he's there. He's going to commit the lasso, but Joe Cam's already dead. And now Drew's just going to chase him down, so a bit of an error here from our Batrider. But Horn is out. Maybe they can just try and turn this one around, as KYXY is going to pop the Dark Crypt. He'll try to get them out, and he should be just fine to do so. Bit of commitment there from GXR, and they don't really get much out of it. Now that you have that Horn down, Team D, they might want to try and make a play out of this. See what they decide to do. They are still 6k net worth behind. I suppose he does have to wait out the God Strength anyway if he does want to go for another fight.
And there's enough time for GXR to just bail back out. TP's still up there for In Your Dream, so he's safe. Missed opportunity for GXR, but not the biggest miss in the world. The unfortunate thing is they're not going to have Haunt for the next rush, although Krish is still playing mid here.
They won't have the coil, so they can't really lock him down. They're just trying to push the wave back. I suppose you're at that point now where you're waiting for that next Roshan, and it is literally just about to respawn, and there you go. And this time around, GXR, they should be in prime position to try and claim their own Roshan.
And they could. Again, with no Haunt for a minute, can make it a bit awkward when the fight does break through, but Dream Coil's going to be back up. Lasso is half a minute away. God Strength is a few seconds away as well, so the spells are going to line up once more. I think Team D has to be the ones inside of it. Like, they do not want to be playing from outside in. They have to be the ones kind of clump there, play it around with their bit of malice, and just get some Firestorms off. They are smoked, though.
Yeah, Paulson did a malice out. Dream Coil there as well. They've got Destrus locked down. Ice Blast Finger. Everything being thrown out. Joe Cam. He'll secure one, but they'll lose Paulson. Meanwhile, in your dream, he's going to come in with the Shadow Step. And no, he doesn't. He does get Ponlo. Alacrity. He's the one to pick it up. KYXY again with the Dark Crypt. He's going to be able to get himself out. Drew. He'll be okay. They're not going to dive the tier 2. You go for Roshan right now, though, if you're GXR.
100%. Like, you didn't have to pop any big spells besides Finger. The Roche is not going to last long against this Butterfly. Spectre up. That is Aegis Cheese Ag Shard. Very big win coming out for GXR and Team D. They just couldn't really kill the big targets fast enough. Like, just not enough damage output here, as GXR are going to have the tools to start to think about that high ground. they can start looking at those tier 2s, start taking them out, and make that move up. That means Ag Shard does go away for a Spectre here. So you have the nice little dispersion cast now to create an illusion. So you're going to have more utility coming out from the Spec. And it's just more annoying for Team D. They have so many things to worry about in the middle of these team fights. They still don't have anything to protect from the lasso. And they're actually going for the Ags here on KYXY. So they just want the charges up on the Dark Rift to bail out, which is one way to get that done. I still think a protective item to stop the lasso is probably going to be your best bet. Maybe Ag Shard Rubik might be the play instead. Just telekinesis pull back on whoever's lasso.
I got supplies.
On low. It's been caught out. In your dream, he picks up another kill, his 5th of the game. Very nice pick up there. It's a very hard game for the AAs. I mean, in your dream, as soon as he sees you, he just shadow steps over and almost guarantees himself a kill. With that, can they find some sort of trade? Maybe Krish can get Polison, but it's nowhere near as good. They're going to lose this top tier 2 as well, so it seems like Team D have reserved themselves to perhaps defending high ground later on. I suppose you do still have the other outer towers anyway. But there is an 8k net worth lead now for GXR, so they are certainly going to be feeling good with themselves. And it's kind of like you keep saying to me, John, Drew, he's missing some damage here. It just doesn't feel like a big kind of Sven, God strength kind of damage coming out. It feels quite lackluster, in fact. So was Krish.
I got supplies.
And neither one can really go for the Daedalus yet.
Marked a location.
Both need MKBs to deal with that evasion coming through, so you're not going to see that damage anytime soon as well. And they just can't really take these frontal engagements.
Get in the car.
Get in the car.
Maybe again, if they had a saving tool to stop the lasso, I think that's when I'd feel more confident. And it just doesn't look like they're thinking about that. I think they feel like they have bigger issues than that control, which is fair enough. I still think that that's the big turning point in these engagements. If Drew gets lassoed, if Krish gets lassoed, you're pretty much lost that fight. So a saving tool would help that situation around. There is an MKB up in Krish now. So the TA can hit the Spectre. Maybe that might be enough. Just having consistent hits on the Spec, getting good attack speed off as well. We're going to have to see if it will pay off. The MKBs flying out for Drew as well, all assembled. So the timing for both cores are lined up.
I got supplies.
They just have to be cautious. Age is still running for about 2 minutes here. Not the best time to force a fight.
Both teams have been very careful. I mean, you understand why GXR, like, they're one game from being locked down to the lower bracket. They don't want to risk having to go through OB Neon if they can avoid it. And Team D, I mean, one game away from proceeding through to the main event.
Awesome.
Obviously, don't want to have to throw that opportunity away and force it to a game in 3. So a lot of pressure on these two teams as they will just take it easy here. They're looking for that perfect opportunity. It is very concerning, though, if you are Team D. Alacrity, he's turning into that kind of secondary carry now on that park. They are starting to move their way into that mid lane. They're going to try and fight Team D. Oh, Joe Cam, he's in. He's got a double earth spike as well, and they've got the Dream Coil there to lock them down. They might be able to burst them out, and they do. Lasso's there. They catch out Drew already. He's got no buyback goal. And Krish? Yeah, he's not safe either. He's also got no buyback goal. They both just bought the MKBs up.
That's really bad. I don't know why Drew opted to poke back in after he saw the Enchanter smoke pop. They just don't play it safe enough and they're punished. They have to hold out for a full minute without the big force, and I don't think GXR is going to wait. The slowest coming out from GXR, put that Scotty up on Alacrity, they just can't run. There's just so much slow stacking here. Once you get caught, you're going to be lassoed, you're going to be bursted down. And it's just down to the fact that there's no saves on Team D. The best save they have is Dark Rift out. And that has like a delay that just doesn't make it a very quick save.
Nice Hex, Joe Cam, he's in, Earthspike out as well. They've got the AA, Ponlo, he's down, but he'll have buyback. Destrus, he's actually just dying to the Spectral Illusion. He will survive as KYXY, he was not be so lucky. And Ponlo, he just fought back. Uh-oh. Team D, this game number 2 looked to be falling apart. This GXR just proving to be a little bit too strong right now. Their cores are almost back up and the Aegis is going to expire. GXR, they may have only enough time to get one lane of racks down. We'll see if they're feeling a little bit frisky here to go for a second. They might just back off and play it safe once again. Lift up, Destrus. Buyback is there. Can you actually deal the damage though? He's gonna butterfly. It's gonna be hard, but they are doing it now. In your dream, he's gonna be 4-staffed out. But there's just not enough. He haunts just in case. Or rather, shadow steps.
I think you're still in a good spot here for Team D. I'm 23k behind. You do manage to hold off on the further tier 4 push, but it costs you a ton. And you're playing at a huge item deficit. Like, Mega Creeps can't come out yet as your bot tier 2 standing. So the map situation isn't as bad as it can theoretically be, but it's still not good. Your farming positions are limited now. For your Sven, for your TA, they still need more items to come true. You really want something like a Daedalus up on your Sven. It does look like Drew is going to have to go for the break on the Silver Edge. And that's also a lot of farm he needs. It's just not going to come out fast enough. The high ground defense for Team D has to be much more disciplined. They can't afford to get caught out on the ramp areas. They have to hold on the high ground. If someone steps out, it has to be KOXY. It can't be any of these big cores, because once they're out, they're dead. And you can see just the build-up in GXR. They've got the Daedalus up on Lackety, so he hits like a truck, the Spectre hits like a truck. You just don't have ways of dealing with that. There's just not enough defense coming through. Like, you've got an Underlord with Atrophy, and it's really not doing enough to mitigate that damage anymore.
No, it certainly isn't. You kind of look to Drew. Sven used to be that hero that used to just kind of one-shot people, right? It's just not the same hero anymore. They're going to go for that Silver Edge now on Drew, so I guess, you know, you're going to have that break, but even with that, there's just so many ways to catch the Sven and just make it so he can't finish the kill onto In Your Dream.
चौधरी भाई वो kill message वाली जो आई हुई है DP
They're being run down again. GXR right behind them.
वो निकलवा लो ना
Cam's
फिर
having a look on this line.
नहीं भाई वो है
Waiting, but there's your Horton to give the vision. Who are they going to jump in on first? It is going to be Krish in the backside. In Your Dream, he's just taken no damage. They get the Earth out. They've got a nice coil as well. KYXY is going to try and Dark Rift him out of there. Can he make it in time? No. He's going to die before it even pops off. Krish, he's still trying to fight out the Spectre, but he's doing no damage. In Your Dream, going to take him out, and that's GG. Just...
Oh boy.
It was a slow game, but it was quite methodical from GXR. And for Team D, you've got to ask yourself where it went wrong. For me, it kind of feels like this draft just wasn't made to go hyper, like ultra late game like this, and it's not even ultra late game yet. But it's a Spectre and Pug, right? Like once you get into the late game, these heroes are very, very scary.
I don't think it was the late game factor. It was more on the fact that Team D didn't have a good way of splitting farm up for Krish and Drew. The timings for Krish were really slow. He did have a good time in lane. He matched the puck, but
someone has
really
been here.
You want to be ahead. You want to be able to clear out your camps quicker. They weren't getting enough there. The side lanes were a lot harder to manage there for Team D. The Batrider last pick was really just enough to control Drew on his safe lane, and it just really slowed down the pace there for the side of Team D. Like they last
get in the car. In the car.
It just didn't feel like the solution there for Team D. They didn't have any saves. Itemization might have been a factor. They had nothing to stop the lassos once it was out. They needed something like a Lotus to just stop Drew from being dragged back in those earlier fights. Down the line, it probably didn't make sense anymore to buy it later on, but earlier on, if they just had something to ensure Drew could get hits off, they could have turned that around. Like that fight by the Outpost bot looked like if Drew just focused his damage, they could have won that and turned the game. But small mistakes like that were coming out from Team D. GXR, they bounced back in really strong fashion.
Get in the car.
13-0. IYD was 17-0 with 19 assists. Just really great games from them this time. We'll have to see how that game 3 evens out here.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very clean game from GXR in this game number 2. And luckily for us, we get a game between these two. And we'll be back after a 10-minute break to see how these drafts go and how this game number 3 does pan out. We'll see you all again very soon.
So the key thing now is to get something to match up in mid, unless they flex the Doom mid, which is also a possibility, where in that case, just get something team fighty on the offlane for Mizu.
Fair enough. Couple banouts to come. Do you see the Spectre being removed here for GXR? Team D, they'll get rid of the Darkseer, fair enough. It's one of Mizu's favorites in that offlane. It does seem like they are going to just focus in on those offlane pickups now.
Marked a location. Marked a location. Nahin, Nahin. Someone has been here.
Big thank you, Mizu. See, very much not aware. I believe this is he was previously named Miracle, which actually got us in trouble one day from Coach Heen. Well, got me in trouble from Coach Heen one day for apparently mispronouncing his name. So I was very happy to see he changed his name to Mizu. I was very, very excited when that happened. Thank you for that, sir. We casters appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like the one letter difference. It's very subtle to notice in the broadcast, and sometimes we say it fast enough, it just sounds the same. So now everyone's not going to be confused. We're not going to see too much spam in chat. I do miss that though. The memes around that were always kind of got a giggle from me when we were casting, because I knew chat would be on it immediately. I mean, they're on a lot of stuff like. Abed and Abad is another one that they love to switch around. So chat does what chat wants, and it tends to be pretty funny.
It does. Still to this day, I wonder who Tony Stark was back in those that last year. I think it was. We had a player come in, Tony Stark, in the last. I don't know who it was.
Yeah.
Excellent player. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully he's still playing. You never know. We might be casting him right now. GXR.
You never know.
Final pickup now. They do need that offlane you talked about. We see the Tidehunter being removed. Anything that kind of jumps out at you, John? Any predictions you'd like to make to look cool if you're correct?
You've got the Lion. You could go for a Mars. You could... I don't know if the Timbersaw really fits in against the AA, but you do have that Lion-Tim combo that is pretty potent as well. I think those are the big options left here. They could go for a Brewmaster. We have seen that be successful, and I know Mizu's played it a couple of times. So they could also go there. Those are the only three cores that I can see that are sort of selfless enough. Keep fighting early on. They go with the LC instead. So they're going for the dual plays. It is fairly active. It is not great team fight.
Location.
They are lacking tools and the wider engagements, but they've got great save with the LC Undying. They've got good heals on the Undying. They've got Dispel on the Legion Commander to stop the arrow combinations from the Sand King downline. So you do have ways of breaking off these teamfight combinations, at least on one hero. And that could buy enough time for, say, the Luna to come in with the Eclipse, or for the Doom to live long enough to cast the Doom before dropping. And that can kind of change how these engagements go. So we'll see if Mizu can get that timing. We have seen some great Legion Commander plays coming out from different teams. We just need to see the same thing come out from Mizu here.
Marked a location.
Understandable. I do like the Legion as well. I mean, you always want some catch when you're against Ember, Mirana. AAs are very easy here to just get some free dual damage off. It is a very nice pick here from GXR, and you already talked about just having to press the attack against the Burrow Strike Arrow. Obviously, that's also going to be very, very impactful this game. A lot of heal as well when you think about it. Like, you've got the Soul Rip plus the press the attack. It might be quite challenging to actually burst down something like the Luna or the Doom with all these heals that are flying out. Team D, though. A lot riding on the line here for this series. I mean, we know Ponlo, he's been wanting to get in those upper echelons for a long time in the pro scene. He's one series away from qualifying through to the Loopet Pro Series 7. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, John. I mean, I know TI is 2-3 months away, but this is Pro Series. Let's get serious. This is Pro Series, John. This is the real top
Marked a vehicle.
Yeah, it really is. It's the highest end.
Get in the car.
Region that does have the
Marked a location. Marked a location.
He close out with the Drew Wraith King. He has performed pretty well in that hero. It is one way to kind of counteract all these big one-and-go spells from GXR, so you can't really fully focus on the Wraith King. If you duel him down, he's probably going to have a second life. You do have the mana drain on the Lion, but Drew can kind of compensate for that with the Ag Shard down the line. And the Wraith King can play fairly fast. We tend to see the Radiance Rush, but you can still shove towers in if you see the opportunity with your Skeletal Summons. go back and jungle clear out that way. You can sort of keep up with the Luna. The Luna is still slightly faster overall because of her glaives. So if she does manage to commit for the glaives build, IYD should be able to be ahead of Drew by a fairly decent amount by the mid game, and he needs to leverage that item advantage. Team D, for their part, I think there's more pressure here on Kriz and KYXY to play fast. The Sand King and Ember Spirit need to buy that space out. They need to hunt down In Your Dream, prevent the Luna from farming up, sort of replicate what we saw from Obi Neon.
Get in the car!
With the Ember and when he played against the Luna. Just apply that pressure, prevent the map from being farmed up. And in that sense, the Luna, if it doesn't have an item advantage, it does feel fairly flat as a hero without anything big to kind of give it that advantage in a fight.
Fair enough. I'm going to ask you the hard question, though, John. You haven't given me a direct answer, as always. You've kind of babbled on that draft. What's the better draft in your opinion, Jonathan? Give me the answer.
It's a tough one. I think draft-wise, I'd lean towards Team D. I think their early game's pretty fast. They can play around with their chain stunts and team fight. You do worry about the Hex and the Finger and the Doom onto the Ember Spirit to stop him from being mobile. But Doom is a fairly long cooldown. And if you're a fast enough Ember, you should be able to have backup around you. Maybe even just jump the line first is the way to get that done here for Team D. And I think in that sense, if Team D plays to this pace that we have seen today, as the other teams have, if they just play fast, GXR is not going to have enough time to farm up on the Luna and on the Doom to really get their items up, right? Because even the Doom takes time to farm. He's going to go for Midas first, he's going to save for the Blink, and it takes so long to get that done. It stalls out your timing instead of the Blink Rush. Of course, that does alleviate pressure on using your Dooms up in a big way. You don't need to rely on that spell for too much, as it is a long cooldown. But you do put yourself on a later time. You push back your power spike a fair bit.
Mark the location.
Going to game one, of course, we do have the loot bet odds up right now, and
Mark
GXR
the location.
$1.44 to the
Watch out!
$2.59 of Team D. So they are the favorites, of course, of GXR, and I feel like anyone could have guessed that in game one. See if the odds are going to be correct, but the last time we saw GXR, they looked very, very solid. It is hard to go against them.
Yeah, they've had surprise wins. They had a really
nice
run in TI qualifiers that most people didn't expect. And you really can't underestimate them. Seasoned players in, and they just have a lot to bring to the table with each other.
True. You thought about going down to try and snipe the bounty, but we'll have to leave it be. Mid lane, Paulson might go for a cheeky D ward. Ponlo's going to meet him there. There's no actual ward around that area. It's actually quite far to the left. Just really making sure that GXR can not get that D ward off. But Paulson, he's still around the area. He might try to he's going to help. Does he go for the cliff ward? Yes, he does. Fair enough, Paulson. Nice little cliff ward there. That should not be D-warded too early on. While we're here, we may as well talk about the top. Green and Paulson against Destrus and KYXY. Seems like a pretty decent lane for either side. We've seen the Burrow Strike into the arrow quite a few times as well, and that was quite strong. I believe it was Raging Potato, it may have been when we saw it. I can't exactly remember. But on the other side with GXR with the Luna Undying, that is also quite potent.
Yeah, it's got a lot of potential. If you start to build up those decay stacks, the Lucent Beam down the line, sure, it starts at 75 damage, but if you do manage to focus in on it, maybe go for a 2-0-2 build, with enough strength taken away, you could chip away for a quarter